Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors, the elders and apostles, the great millstone, who are teaching the truth and sincerity, and a shout out to Yakims out there in the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Braga the Yahweh, Braga the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Brakata. So, look for me on BitChute as, I'm more at liberty to talk more about things openly there than I am over here, and there's just certain things that, I can put together on a video on BitChute. I decided, after long, hard thought of 3 weeks in a row, it happening, that I just, no, man, what I talk about on the, at camp, man, why go through all that just to have it taken down? So my camp videos will remain on BitChute. And I'm just, certain lessons I might just do on BitChute instead, and I'll just, tell everybody where it's at, sort of thing. Because Israelite 403 is the main channel, has 2 strikes on it. But as of March 1st, that will no longer have strikes, so I want to keep that, as you would say, open and clean. Israelite 404, that's got 2 strikes on it. Israelite Foreigner Rating 2, got 2 strikes on it, and so on. So, Israelite Foreigner 5 is the one that doesn't have any strikes on it, so I'm just doing what I can, sort of say. But nonetheless, though, the economic crisis 2021, nothing will be the same again. I mean, I know you keep on hearing it, and it just, yeah, man, we know what the fuck's going on. Well, everybody else is docile as fuck, going and getting the jab, thinking that they're going to reopen everything. They ain't reopening shit, dumb motherfucker. You deserve to die, you stupid fuck.
Inflation, hyperinflation, financial collapse, societal collapse, and World War III. The only unknown is the timeline. All roads lead back to the fiat money system. Broken countries. Broken trade. Broken bond markets. Broken manufacturing. Broken businesses, broken housing markets, broken labor markets, broken people, malinvestments, wealth inequality, big government, mass immigration, overpopulation, big military, wars, nature fighting back, climate change, end the Fed, end fractional reserve banking, bring on the classical gold standard or the Bitcoin standard. Welcome back to the Nomad Economist. This seemingly endless pandemic is causing immense stress for millions of ordinary Americans. In past videos, I have discussed the fact that surveys have shown that Americans are drinking more alcohol and taking more drugs during this pandemic. Even more alarming, we have seen suicide rates spike over the past 12 months as well. Sadly, this isn't just happening here in the United States. All over the globe, more people are ending their own lives during this pandemic. But of course most people aren't going to go that far. Instead, most people are just going to quietly struggle along, but in the process many of them are making huge changes to their lifestyles. For example, this pandemic appears to be greatly affecting both marriage and divorce rates. Here are just a couple of examples. In Oregon, divorces in the pandemic months of March through December were down about 24% from those months in 2019, marriages were down 16%. In Florida, for the same months, divorces were down 20% and marriages were down 27%. I can understand why so many Americans are putting off marriage right now. A wedding can be extremely expensive, and many Americans may be hesitant to permanently tie the knot with so much economic uncertainty in our future. But why are divorce rates down by so much? That is a very good question. Limited access to courts during the lockdowns was certainly one factor, and many Americans are also concerned about what a divorce would mean for them financially. One reason for fewer divorces: in many states, access to courts for civil cases was severely curtailed during the pandemic's early stages. Another reason, according to marriage counselors, is that many couples backed off from a possibly imminent divorce for fear it would only worsen pandemic-fueled financial insecurity. Meanwhile, this pandemic has also caused more Americans than ever to put off having children. In fact, birth rates are way down all over the country.
And you see, this is the fall of Esau right there, because again, what is the number one thing that this jab is doing to people? Because yeah, I'll be the first to admit, no. Not as many people died from it, but that's just it, though. It is sterilizing you to where you can't have children. So, here's what's interesting is Trump was acquitted, right? And then this came out. Day after Trump acquittal, impeach Harris trends begin on Twitter. Yeah, man, because you want to talk about corruption. It doesn't get any more corrupt than this Amalekite chaser. Because, let's face it, she's Amalek. She's married to an Amalekite. That makes her Amalek. During a segment on Fox News Sunday, Senator Lindsey Graham warned that the impeachment trial of Donald Trump may have opened Pandora's box and could even result in impeachment being used against other elected officials. He was actually quite specific that suggested that Vice President Kamala Harris could find herself back facing an impeachment if the GOP takes back the House of Representatives in 2022 midterm elections. So, again, they might just recall her ass too, because they're looking to get rid of fuck Newsom over here. Google and Facebook falling in line very soon with Australian government media reform bill. So, just follow the leader, right? Because let's face it, you're very neutered here on what you can say. That's why I say follow me on BitChute, while you still can. Because, it's to the point that I'm just so fucking frustrated with the goddamn Google and fucking getting the strike just because I actually tell you the truth, And, let's face it though, BitChute is a better platform. I mean, I admit that you can't use it on a Google. You can actually. It's getting around though. You can actually use it on your phone. It's real easy to download the app where you can be subscribed to me there, and it's a lot easier, I would say, because pretty much you can't really say shit here. Australian Treasurer Josh Frydenberg says that there has been great process and talks between the tech giants and Australia in regards to the new Australia's News Media Bargaining Code, which first emerged in 2019. So, again, see, Google has gone as so far as to threaten to completely bar Australians' access to their services. So we pray for the brother that's still out there teaching because, of course, Google owns YouTube. Biden calls for common sense gun law reform. So here's your gun control over the Parkland false flag shooting, because we know that these shootings are fake, and so they can bring in gun control. President Biden called on Congress to pass common sense gun law reforms on Sunday in a message making third anniversary of the shooting at Majority Stone and Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, which was fake. Today, as we mourn with Parkland community, yeah, whatever. Shut the fuck up, you stupid fuck. People are just so fucking stupid, that actually think that he gives two shits about, the loss of lives. Bullshit! If he cared about the loss of lives, he would end the war in Syria. He would end all wars, and he would talk about rebuilding the economy. This guy doesn't give two shits about you. He just tells you to wear a mask. Obey your master. Where's the inflation? Central bankers, of course, we're talking about, high home prices, peak level. Woo! All these fags want to fucking buy homes, And I say fuck every one of these goddamn motherfuckers. I hate goddamn realtors. Fuck them all, Hope you fucking drop dead, you stupid fuck. Meanwhile, U.S. house pricing have finally eclipsed their peak from 2005 in the years leading up to the Great Recession. Note that at the beginning of 2021, we said real estate was entering the year in a massive bubble. A combination of low interest rate and trillions in freshly printed dollars has led to the median price of a single-family home rising 14.9% to $315,000 in Q4. It was the biggest surge in data going back to 1990, according to the National Association of Realtors, according to Bloomberg, which is a bunch of goddamn Amalekites buying up the property cheap and then selling at a high price. Oh, and here's this going on. White helmets plotting false flag operation to incriminate Damascus. So here it is, and I said that they would reemerge the moment that Biden got in. So here it comes. The Russian Defense Ministry warns that the White Helmets, a group operating under the guise of providing humanitarian aid in Syria, is planning to stage a false flag operation in the northwestern province of Idlib to implicate Damascus. We have information that members of the illegal armed groups are preparing to stage a provocation in order to accuse the Syrian government forces of attacking settlements in the Idlib de-escalation zone. The deputy head in the Russian Center for Reconciliation of the Opposing Parties in Syria, Rear Admiral Vanla Sinak, said at a news briefing on Sunday. So there it is, man. The group is known for its coordination with terror outfits in Syria to carry out staged chemical attacks in order to falsely incriminate the Syrian government forces and fabricate pretexts for military strikes by a U.S.-led military coalition presence since 2014, which was during the Obama administration. But wait, there's more. Syrian air defenses thwart Israeli attack on Damascus. So, these Amalekites are continuing their terrorism against Syria. The Syrian forces have responded to the Israeli attacks in the skies over the capital Damascus for several hours early Monday, the Syrian official news agency reported. The report did not give details of the possible casualties or damages caused by the terror since the start of the foreign-backed war on Syria in 2001. Israeli state has carried out hundreds of strikes in the country targeting government troops and their allies. So there is a video to this from the Syrian Arab News Agency. And of course, they love to strike at night. And of course, you can best believe that they are using their fighter strikes, from Golan Heights to launch their war of terror against the Syrian people. These same terrorists that tell you to wear a mask, right? German nursing home whistleblower, elderly dying after receiving the Crown Royal injection. Since the public release of the controversial mRNA, many disturbing reports of adverse reactions and ultimate untimely deaths have been mounting, including deaths following receipt of the experimental Pfizer-BioNTech shot are also emerging from Israeli state, Norway, Portugal, Sweden, and Switzerland. But, can't talk about that too much over here because, quote-unquote, medical misinformation. That's what these fucking goddamn Amalekites say, but it's even happening in the Israeli state, right? But you can't talk about that too much over here. No, 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 no. Don't talk about corruption. Don't expose corruption. Well, then just don't be a prophet, right? No, we're going to continue to prophesy against Mount Seir. And this is another, dealing with the hypocrites of, these bootleg camps. And this is from Apostle Tahar.
Israelites in the Roman army and Cornelius, giving all praise to Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua, Hashem Kakwadash. This is a video that was put up by Battle Axes of TMH, which is the Most High Dallas. These are former members, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody could correct me if I'm mistaken. of the IUIC. You had a couple of groups that broke off from the IUIC state camps, and they set up their own camps. And this group, Battle Axes of TMH Dallas, they've been on their own, separate from IUIC for a while, for a number of years. Anyway, there's a video that was put up entitled Yamaka Jake has more love for the heathen than his own people. The video is 44 minutes, 33 seconds long. I got 3 minutes and 5 seconds in. And we encountered these, what they call Yarmulke Jakes. Yarmulke Jakes, that's their new name. These are mostly non-Messianic Israelites, meaning they don't deal with the New Testament. But I believe since they're going back and forth about Acts, I guess he also believes in the New Testament. You know, you have a lot of Israelite groups that teach various different things. Like I said, some only the Old Testament, some that believe that, and this is old school, that the so-called white people descend from the seed of Japhet, which the so-called white man descended from the seed of Esau. And the first time I ever heard that was at One West. Anyway, you can watch the video. What I'll do is, if I remember, I'll leave the link in the description box. And you know what? Let me let you listen to a little bit of it. There's a little bit of shouting, but let's see what happens. Let me come back to, where am I at? I'm right at about the 2-minute mark. So listen up. He starts it off with the Acts 10th chapter, and the guy is saying that that Cornelius is of the Italian band. Well, and as if to say he can't be an Israelite because he was part of the Roman army. Oh, and I would say this as a side note: all One West camps should be teaching the same thing, that Cornelius is an Israelite. You know, you have the HODC, I believe that's the only group, and the GOCC that teaches that Cornelius is an actual Edomite. That was a whole faulty breakdown of what was taught back at One West. You know, High Priest Arian, the rest of the top 7, as they call them, as they used to be called, that they were Edomites, and they had like a little story behind it that Esau was there, which is supposed to be Cornelius, was there to hold the book for us. The book wasn't even written. The only books that we had at that time was the Old Testament, the first 5 books of Mashah, the writings, and the prophets, which is known as the Tanakh, which is an acronym. The Torah, which is the law, the Nabayim, which is the prophets, and the Kathayim, which is the writings like Psalms, Ecclesiastes, Proverbs, Song of Solomon. Those are the writings. So getting back to this here, the individual that's being called the Yamaka Jake, he's saying when you watch I don't have to watch the whole video. Like I said, I only checked out 3 minutes of a almost 45-minute video, and this guy's trying to push that thing where heathens can make it, which he's totally lost. So what I did was, and we did this before, there's a book entitled Sons of Israel in Caesar's Service, Jewish Soldiers in the Roman Military. So we're talking about, you had Israelites going back more than 2,000 years ago that were part of the Roman Empire, Roman military. The Apostle Paul was in fact a Roman citizen. That didn't make him an Edomite. So it says here, Sons of Israel in Caesar's service, Jewish soldiers, should say Israelite soldiers in the Roman military, by Andrew J. Schoenfeld, MD. So I'm going to read the opening of this book. I guess the first paragraph, you can call it. It says, I don't have to go into the scriptures and break down to you that Cornelius is in fact an Israelite. But if you're new to this, you can ask, could you do a breakdown on it? And we did breakdowns on Cornelius. I see that we got to do another video, a couple of videos on Cornelius being an Israelite, because some of our pages were taken down. So I might come back and do something, which to us, this is the basics. But remember, we're not just teaching. Actually, we're not teaching anyone that's part of GMS that's been in this thing for a certain amount of years, because they're supposed to know everything and they're supposed to be teachers. So they're supposed to know it. Anyway, let me just read this. Excuse me. It says, the participation of Roman Jewish soldiers in the armies of Imperial Rome often goes unrecognized. This is mainly a result of a lack of recognition on the part of scholars who wish to use rabbinic sources as the landmark or the benchmark for Jewish practices in the imperial age. It is also difficult to identify Jewish soldiers, many of whom had, listen to this, many of whom had Greek and Latin names. Many of whom had Greek and Latin names. Cornelius had a Latin name. The word Cornelius is, well, if you go to the Blue Letter, they'll tell you of a horn. Actually, the name Cornelius means it means seed. This is where you get the word, like a kernel of corn to make popcorn, a corn kernel, and kernel is Latin for seed. So Cornelius named the O-U-S suffix was at the end of names back there. Julius, Tiberius, Cornelius. So we take that out, put it to the side, take the word Cornell, and Cornell goes back to kernel, which means seed. Why? Because he's a seed of Israel. And he had, his name was a Latin name. Another example is if you go to Acts 16 from the top, it speaks about Timotheus or Timothy's father being a Greek. He was actually an Israelite who followed the ways of the Greeks or the Greco-Romans. Because you got to understand that the Romans didn't just speak Latin, they spoke Greek too, because part of their culture was based upon the Greek culture. So you have some writers that will say Greco-Roman Empire, because you had a lot of the things that the Romans did that they got from that they adopted from the Greeks, and they were all Edomites, just two separate empires. So you had a lot of them that were giving Greek and or Latin names. If you go to Romans the 16th chapter, it plainly mentions the names of the people that Paul was teaching in Rome. And they're all Greek or either Latin names, but they were Israelites. And one of the names was Herod. One of the members was Herod. He was an Israelite that had the name of an Edomite, a Herod. Anyway, it says many of whom had Greek and Latin names. These were Israelites, unless they are specifically identified as Jews or are found in a Jewish context, such as the dedicatory inscription from a synagogue, meaning that you had Israelites that joined perfect example is this guy. He was the real general behind Vespasian and Titus. Alexander Tiberius. He was an actual Israelite that was born in Alexandria, Egypt, to an Israelite family that kind of pushed that to the side. So he knew he was circumcised and all that, and he was a so-called black man, but he had a love for the Roman system. Anyway, it says, nonetheless, by using a variety of sources from the period, it is possible to appreciate, these words are real teeny, appreciate the depth and breadth of Jewish service in the Roman legions. And that's why Cornelius, it was said that he was of the Italian band. It didn't make him Italian. And Italy is a place, not a people. Because you had Italians of different nations that were living in Rome and living in Italy, which is that body of land that looks like a boot. They said from the time of Caesar down to the early 5th century, which was the 5th century was 500 years AD. Anno Domini. There was Jews who served as simple foot soldiers, influential general like, here it is, influential generals like Tiberius Julius Alexander. Tiberius Julius Alexander was an Israelite, and Jewish military units such as the Regi Emisseni Yehudasi, which is Yehudasi is Jews, like a troop or legion of Israelites, regardless of their relationship to Orthodox Jewish communities of the time. The service of Roman Jews in the imperial armed forces must be recognized. Let me read a little bit more. It says in the year 69, which is AD, the Roman province of Judea was consumed by a 3-year rebellion that pitted Jewish zealots against the authorities of the emperor and the house of Herod. When you go into the history, they were fighting against two enemies. They were fighting against the emperor and they were fighting against Herod. And by the way, when you go into the history, Herod had his own personal army. You had the Roman legions, the Roman military, and you had Herod and his army that worked hand in glove with the Roman Empire. And they were the ones that set, well, Rome was the one that set up Herod to be so-called king of the Jews. It said not only was the revolt a disabling factor in the eastern region of the empire, but it also posed a significant challenge to the new emperor Vespasian. Now, when you go back a couple of emperors, Claudius was the one that banned or banished all the Jews from Rome because they were raising hell. Back then, they were on the street corners, doing like pretty much what we do, in order to quell the Jewish revolt. In his eastern marches, Vespasian resolved to send an army under the command of his son, which is Titus, with explicit orders to crush the insurrection. Although the emperor's young son showed exceptional talent and tact for leadership, he lacked the military, let me see if there's more here, experience deemed necessary for a Roman general. Therefore, the emperor was forced to choose an able commander capable of asserting Titus in the Judean expedition. A great number, as you read down, it mentions Tiberius Julius Alexander as you read down, and this is historical facts. So now, if you had Israelites that were part of the Roman Empire, and you had a major general that Vespasian set up to be the true leader of taking down the Jews during the time period of 70 AD, well, it's not far-fetched for a man named Cornelius, being an Israelite, being part of the Roman Empire. Anyway, I'm going to say shalom. So on to the next one. Shalom.
And that's just it. You see how, we clear things up and we re-explain things. And yeah, even I'll admit that a lot of my old videos, I might be speaking at a level that is not necessarily for the person just coming in, that might be new to this, Like, in the very beginning, we used to say, and you would catch it in our camps, we used to say Esau is the so-called white man. It's not necessary now to do that, because when I talk about Edomites or Esau and all that, and part of keeping my Clark Kent, because again, I'm in a city that's run by Esau Edom, in an Edomite city, I just will say Esau Edomites, and because let's face it, we're past the level of Esau is the so-called white man, you so-called white people, we're kind of past that, but every now and then we'll say it. I mean, obviously, look at this devil here, this four-eyed piece of shit, and we're making a question, is Antiochus Epiphanes really Bill Gates, the reincarnated? Because again, in the regeneration, we know that David Rothschild is in fact a reincarnate of Cesare Borgia. So it would make sense that yes, Antiochus Epiphanes might be Bill Gates. And I hope all these videos are edified like everything else, though. You know, that last one, you should know, is Apostle Tahar, and this one is another brother who happens to be in this truth from another camp, you know. And so, like everything else, though, check me out on BitChute, where I can talk a little bit more freely. My latest camp videos over there, as well as some other things.
Giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Hara, Kakodash. You know what I'm saying? Double honors to our apostles and elders, very great millstone. This website is titled, the title of it is titled, Meet the World's Most Powerful Doctor, Bill Gates. And this article was actually published back in 2017. It shows you how fast this devil's been moving. Now, as you can tell by the title, I asked the question, could Antiochus Epiphanes be Bill Gates? Pastor Hart said many times that he believes that Donald Trump may be Nero. And I remember somebody on Twitter or whatever actually made like a little meme about him with Nero or whatever, and Donald Trump, he accepted it wholeheartedly. He's like, yeah, I hope that is me. So that could be Nero. So what we found ourselves meditating, like, could all these players be back here today? I personally believe that Esau, you know, the Esau, the first man, the first Esau, I believe he's back here, and I believe he's a part of the wicked elite. I don't believe, maybe we probably haven't seen his face, we probably mentioned his name, but I believe he could be back here, because how great would it be for when the Lord to come back and we go and pull up these devils out of those underground bunkers that they hide in, that the Lord revealed, like, yeah, you know, this is actually Esau right here. Like, how great would that be? That's my personal belief. Because once you understand reincarnation, then it's not, you could say, crazy to think about things like these. Because you got plenty of brothers who believe that the Rockefeller may be this person may be that person. Well, I started to think about this devil here, right? Bill Gates. And I thought of how in love, how this guy is so infatuated with the human body and reducing the population. And how he's just so intrigued by you know, vaccination shots and doing things to change the body, right? You know about his expeditions over there in Africa. We know about what happened there. And it's a video you should watch. I might just link it. It's a documentary about this guy, that they make sure that it doesn't come out. And you'll really see the wickedness amongst this guy. And it makes me mad, because even though I understand that 2/3 of our people got to be destroyed, it still angers me to know that these devils are going to have some somewhat success in their plan, which is to annihilate all of our people, primarily our people. So here's one thing he said in a TED Talk. This just shows you the type of mind that this man is thinking about 24/7. Okay? This is on his TED Talk. You can literally go and Google TED Talk Bill Gates. He says this in his first opening statement. He says, the world has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new shots, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 to 15%. That means, it means what it says it means. If the so-called world population is increasing, the only way to decrease that results in one answer. Somehow, you're going to have to destroy people. Somehow, some way. And he actually mentions the healthcare, the shots, reproductive health services. Is another thing he's involved in is what you call birth control. All these things he's involved in. He's so infatuated with,
just like what I was saying before about the vaccine,
destroying human population. You can't take this any other way. You can't say, oh, well, what he meant to say was, there's absolutely nothing you can say. When you read 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, you see that Esau, the so-called white man, which is the wicked that's to soon be revealed, he has the spirit of wanting to be God, like a godlike mentality. The Most High has laws. The Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. Esau comes up with his own laws, those Georgia Guidestones. And one of the very first law on there, which is the maintain humanity, I think, under 500 million. Those are one of their laws, which, by the way, no media or anybody talks about why those stones are there and why they're still there and who erected those stones. So the spirit of this man is to be like the Most High, to control everything. And he has his own agenda on how the world should be populated. You see, this is how puffed up he is at the Most High. He's saying, look, there's too many people in this world. When the Most High created this world, it could fit. It can fit. The Most High isn't slack up there. He isn't like, oh, you know what, the world is getting populated, overpopulated. No, if anything, it's probably more depth than it is verse out here. And in fact, if you read the book of Ezra, even Ezra asked the Lord, like, Lord, can't you just bring all the hurry up the judgment by bringing all these people you want to bring back to get judged first? And the Most High said, he said, no, there's no slackness of the first, there's no swiftness of the last. So I may say it backwards, meaning the Most High said, look, I got this. Because all the spirits that the Most High have, the world can't even hold. He actually says that as well. So this man wanting to be God, he's like, look, we need to maintain humanity. We need, the whole point of these vaccination shots and all these other shots is because they have an agenda, especially that guy Fauci. They want everybody in the world to be healthy according to what they decide is healthy. You see, that's being the Most High. That's trying to be like the Most High. So why do I think that this guy could be Antiochus Epiphanes? Well, again, first of all, I thought about when all this is happening, I was like, wow, who would have thought that the Most High was preserving this man right here and to have such a big role in the end of days? You got a lot of people, man. A lot of people who are known in the ancient world that's known for trying to wipe out Jerusalem, and they could be back. So, and if there's one thing that I pray for, I pray the Lord do this devil like he did Antiochus Epiphanes. Let's see what happened to Antiochus. And this has to be Antiochus Epiphanes. So the second Maccabees chapter 9, it says, and at that time came Antiochus with dishonor out of the country of Persia. For he had entered the city called Persepolis and went about to rob the temple and to hold the city, whereupon the multitude running to defend themselves with their weapons put them to flight. And so it happened that Antiochus, being put to flight of the inhabitants, returned with shame. Now when he came to Ecbatane, news was brought him that what had happened with Nacur and Timotheus, which I believe Nacur was a sellout, I believe, of Israel. This is what he said. Then swelling with anger, he thought to avenge upon the Jews the disgrace done unto him by those that made him flee. Therefore he commanded his chariotmen to drive without ceasing, and to dispatch the journey, the judgment of Yahweh now following him. For he had spoken proudly in this sort, that he would come to Jerusalem and make it a common burying place of the Jews. So this devil got so mad that he had to retreat and that he was put to shame. He went on a whole tirade. He said, I'm going to go down and I'm going to destroy those Jews. I'm going to make that a common burying place. Gather the chariot, man. We're going down there to wipe these people out. I hate these people. Like, you know, that's how much he hate for us. But the Most High was listening, and he was very displeased at his words and his proud speeches and everything that he done to us. Verse 5, but the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, smote him with an incurable and invisible plague, or as soon as he had spoken these words, a pain of the bowels that was remediless came upon him, and sore torments of the inner parts, and that most justly, for he had tormented other man's bowels with many and strange torments. You see, it says, and most justly, because what he did to other people, it came back to him. For he had tormented other man's bowels with many and strange torments, howbeit he had nothing. It's like, howbeit he nothing at all ceased from his bragging, but still was filled with pride, breathing out fire in his rage against the Jews, and commanding to haste the journey. But it came to pass that he fell down from his chariot, carried violently, so that having a sore fall, all the members of his body were much pain. And thus he that was afore thought he might command the waves of the sea, so proud was he beyond the condition of man, and weighing the high mountains in balance, was now cast on the ground and carried in horse litter, showing forth unto all the manifest power of Yahweh, so that the worms rose up out of his body of this wicked man, And while he lived in sorrow and pain, his flesh fell away, and the filthiness of his smell was noisome to all his army. And to the man that thought a little more he could reach to the stars of heaven, no man could endure to carry for his intolerable stink. He therefore, being plagued, he began to leave off his pride and to come into the knowledge of himself by the scourge of Yahweh, in his pain increasing every moment. Now, what happened to this devil here? You saw how proud he was, right? He thought he could move the stars or reach the stars. That's how proud this devil was. And the Most High jacked him up by hitting him with that incurable plague. Now, look at this guy right here. A man that's so infatuated with birth control, reducing the population, vaccination shots. If you watch that video, you'll see that everything that he's responsible for in Africa, all the deaths he's responsible for. You'll see that he's just so concerned about making sure that everybody gets this shot and everybody gets tagged at the same time. That he's investing billions and billions of dollars, throw money here, throw money there, because he got the money to do so. That he's just so infatuated with the human condition and the human health and controlling the population. How great and how beautiful would it be for the Most High to have that same infatuation he has with controlling the body, destroying immune systems, and hit him with an incurable plague? How amazing would that be? For this devil to be so concerned about everybody's immune system to look how he wants it to look, and how everybody's, from birth, your health is determined by he determines it. How beautiful would it be for the Most High to plague this man and to jack him up the same way he did Antiochus Epiphanes, because guess what? That's just going to be karma coming back on your ass. That would be beautiful. He could be Antiochus Epiphanes. They got the same mind state. This devil was proud as all hell. If you watch the video, you'll see that this devil, Bill Gates, is invested in a lot of things, man. Talking about some modifying mosquitoes so that they can, and then release them out to the public so that they can give pretty much unknowingly giving you immunization shots. Trying to put money into a program that will block out the sun's sun waves from the Earth's atmosphere, because they want to reduce by releasing carbon. I think it's carbon monoxide or carbon. It's one of those things into the atmosphere to block out sun waves. If you see the things that this devil is involved in, digital tattoos implanted on your skin that can over time it will release what you call stuff from the vaccine. Oh yeah. He's involved in a lot of things, man. It's just the money he has suppresses it. But the video's out there, I'll link it. You saw how the Lord jacked up Antiochus Epiphanes, man. He had worms rolling up out of him. All right, an incurable plague. How good, how beautiful would it be for the Most High, for this devil? Because you know, behind closed doors, he's proud and he's bragging. He's saying the same thing. He's like, I'm coming to get you, nigga. I don't care what y'all, I got the money, I got the influence. I'm coming to get you. I'm going to make sure you get this shot. I'm going to set up this and say, not to mention he's also controls majority of the farmland in the U.S. He's trying to make artificial breast milk. He's trying to remake that. So you see this devil playing God. This devil here is doing a lot. All right, he's definitely a big player or a big name in the end of times. This could very well be Antiochus Epiphanes. That's just that's what I believe. And if it is, oh man, I hope Yahweh Bashem Yahushua jacked this devil up the exact same way he did this devil here, man. Because, you know, one of the brothers at one point in the heads said, like, I have no doubt that the Lord will stop these people. Okay? Because this devil is moving, man. There is a plan to eradicate all of Israel, man. And they're using every single method possible. But people look at us like we crazy. Don't listen to General Yohanan. This is Psalms chapter 35, verse 8. Let destruction come upon him at unawares, and let his net that he hath hid catch himself into that very destruction. Let him fall. Psalm 7, verse 15. He made a pit. Reading 14. Behold, he travaileth with iniquity, and hath conceived mischief, and brought forth falsehood. he made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch he had made. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own plate. Psalms 141, verse 10. I'll start at 9. Keep me from the snares which they have laid for me, and the gins of the workers of iniquity. Let the wicked fall into their own nets, whilst that I withal escape. So the Lord knows this trap that this devil's coming with. He knows behind the scene how these devils, especially that man, bragging about what he's going to do to us and how he's going to reduce the population. Okay, this is nothing new. Margaret Sanger, man. It's nothing new. There's always been that plan to wipe us out. Now it's in the open, and now it's more blatant than ever. So the same way the Lord jacked up Antiochus Epiphanes because of his pride and because of what he did to other people, this devil here and his infatuation with the human body and reducing the population and make sure everybody gets a shot and birth control and controlling the Earth's atmosphere and reproducing, trying to make artificial breast milk and make GMO crops to control what people eat. Oh yeah, this devil could very well be that same one. And I pray that the Lord jack him up the exact same way and stop these people, man. With that, I hope it was edifying, and I say shalom.
And that's another reason for a lot of this stealing from Syria as well. And they've been stealing their wheat, coveting their wheat, because this devil has been, in fact, putting GMO foods in the Middle East, in Syria in particularly, because they ain't on board with the New World Order. So I hope all this has been edifying like everything else, though. We're watching this devil for his every move, because he certainly is watching us. Shalom.